And how safe is the sunscreen you're putting on your family?
There is no all-day, there is no waterproof product. It doesn't exist.
Tonight, the lawsuit against the sunscreen industry that will leave you burning up inside. Across the country and around the world, this is Anderson Cooper 360, live from the CNN Broadcast Center in New York. Tonight, sitting in for Anderson, John Roberts.
Now that hurricane season is upon us, summer isn't far away, and with it perhaps some trips to the beach and to the drugstore to pick up that summer essential, sunscreen. We're told if we use it, we're protected from the sun's harmful rays. But what you might not know is that a battle is underway between the companies that make some sunscreens and lawyers who claim those companies are actually deceiving the American public. What's hanging in the balance is the health of our skin. Here's CNN's consumer correspondent, Greg Hunter.
Whether you spray it, dab it, or slather it on, many people consider sunscreen their best defense against skin cancer.
Finally, sunscreen that's in sync with your life.
Provides superior stabilized UVA, UVB defense with Helioplex.
But questions about sunscreen claims have some people wondering if it really protects as well as the labels might imply.
If you sell a product and say it does something that it doesn't do, that to me is the equivalent of selling snake oil.
Sam Rudman is one of several attorneys challenging the billion-dollar sun protection industry with a controversial lawsuit that's generating headlines and heat. It accuses some sunscreen makers of being fraudulent, negligent, and intentionally deceptive in the marketing and labeling of some of the sunscreens sold by Coppertone, Hawaiian Tropic, Banana Boat, Bullfrog, and Neutrogena. All 5 defendants categorically deny the claims. At issue, the reliability of common claims such as waterproof, all-day, UVA, UVB protection, even the term sunblock, which the lawsuit says are exaggerated, misleading, and may give consumers a false sense of security.
Is sunblock a good term?
That is a false statement.
Waterproof, true or false?
False.
All-day protection, true or false?
False. The consumer should understand what the product does, what the product doesn't do.
Well, they can read the label for that.
Well, they can't read the label because the label's a lie.
Here is Mr.
We asked dermatologist James Spencer, a spokesman for the American Academy of Dermatology, what he thinks about sunscreen labels.
There is no all-day, there is no waterproof product. It doesn't exist. And you are mistaken if you think you can put this on your child at 8 in the morning and tell him to go to the beach and all day. No, by 10, 11 o'clock, he's not protected anymore.
And there's something else you may not realize. When you're out in the sun, there are 2 types of rays beating down on you, ultraviolet A and B, or UVA and UVB. But listen up. What your bottle of sunscreen doesn't tell you is that you're not protected equally from both. This number, the SPF number, or sun protection factor, primarily tells you how much protection you're getting from UVB rays. The ultraviolet B rays affect the outer layers of your skin. They're the ones that make you burn and tell you it's time to go inside. But UVA rays penetrate to deeper layers of the skin and are increasingly thought to be a major cause of early wrinkles and melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer. It's the sunscreen's ability to filter out these UVA rays, which the lawsuit and some dermatologists question.
There you go, honey.
Our UVB blockers and screens are really very good. They'll block up 97, 98% of the UVB rays, so we're pretty good there. UVA, we fall down. We don't have that level of protection.
We're not saying it's a product you shouldn't use. We're simply saying it doesn't do everything that they tell you it does.
The Food and Drug Administration regulates sunscreen, and in 1999 proposed a set of labeling rules for sunscreen makers that banned SPF numbers higher than 30. They also rejected claims like all day or waterproof, saying they're unsupported and potentially misleading. So why, you might wonder, is the FDA still allowing manufacturers to make these claims on sunscreen labels? It's because the FDA indefinitely delayed its own rules, they say, to give science and the industry more time to work on guidelines for UVA testing and labeling. The end result means compliance with their 1999 labeling guidelines is voluntary. We asked officials here at the Food and Drug Administration headquarters in Rockville, Maryland, why it's taken so long, 7 years now, to come up with a set of clear labeling rules that sunscreen makers have to follow. No one at the FDA wanted to answer that question on camera. Instead, FDA officials emailed us saying they're currently working on rulemaking for sunscreen drug products to address, among other things, UVA testing and labeling issues, and are working to establish new rules, quote, very soon.
They dropped the ball, and no one's going on camera to admit that the ball's bouncing around.
You're basically doing the government's job.
Correct. If the government had done their job, we wouldn't have a case.
I hope the thing is thrown out of court, because I think it's going to do more damage than help.
Dr. Perry Robbins is a leading dermatologist and president of the Skin Cancer Foundation. It's a nonprofit group partially funded by the sunscreen industry, dedicated to the prevention and care of skin cancer.
I'm very much disturbed with this lawsuit, because what it's going to do is tell people, well, gee, if it doesn't work, why am I using it? And that's the last thing we want to do. If they stop using sunscreen, it's going to have a disastrous effect.
More cancers.
For cancers of the skin.
None of the sunscreen makers named in the lawsuit would answer our questions on camera, but 3 of them wrote us saying their labels fully comply with all current FDA standards and are totally safe when used as directed. The makers of Hawaiian Tropic went on to write, the rhetoric of the plaintiffs' lawyers is motivated by their self-interest and greed. Their statements are contrary to the public's health and are irresponsible. The makers of Banana Boat and Bullfrog sunscreen didn't respond to our inquiries. And Shearing Plow, the company that makes Coppertone, told us in a statement they believe the suit is without merit and attempts to exploit the fact that the FDA has not issued final regulation in this area. When we asked them about UVA versus UVB protection, they simply said the product labels and advertisements do not say the same protection applies to the full spectrum of UVA rays, nor do we believe they imply that. People on Clearwater Beach, Florida, however, had a different point of view. When you see UVA, UVB sunblock lotion, what does that make you think about both those rays?
Well, that he's pretty protected by it, you know.
From both?
Right, from both, absolutely. Equal amounts.
What do you think?
I think that I'm getting both protections.
And that is exactly the kind of confusion the FDA says future labeling rules will clear up. Until then, sun lovers should keep one thing in mind. You may not be as protected from all the sun's harmful rays as you think. Greg Hunter, CNN, Clearwater Beach, Florida.
So it is those UVA rays that could cause everything from wrinkles to skin cancer. For the best possible UVA protection, look on your sunscreen label for 1 or more of the following ingredients: zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, and avobenzone. Greg's piece first aired on Paula's On Now. You can watch Paula every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.